It's my real privilege to be here with my galaxy of guest speakers to discuss the very important and pertinent topic of cybersecurity in the 6G era. I'm sure all of you would know that it is, as of now, even the 5G networks in India and globally is not yet fully been downloaded, but it is and there are the limitations of the 5G technology that is already coming forth. And so in Finland in 2019 there was a conference that happened where the worldwide speakers came in and they came up with a white paper on this aspect of 6G as a technology. Now, post that, there has been a lot of research that has already started, and today what we are going to do is that I intend next about 40-45 minutes we'll cover and take inputs from our eminent speakers here in terms of their views to enlighten the audience here about what are the relevant challenges in this era with respect to 6G. Now, maybe Mr. Vatsa, if I can first start with you, could you please enlighten our audience with the inputs on the technologies that will drive 6G and the emerging applications of and the outcomes expected from the 6G?
Thank you, Manoj. Let me first begin with what are the four components of 6G before I come to application and technologies. The four components which are going to drive the 6G are intelligent radios, then you have got real edge computing, then you have got distributed AI, and fourth one is the 3D intercom. All these four components are being supported by technologies such as, if I may talk about communication, so molecular communication, quantum communication, visual light communication, and we have AI and other technologies because the 5G saw the use of AI, but 6G will see the AI empowered networks, totally AI empowered network, right? And then we have got blockchain, which is also there. So having said this, if you see the application which we foresee when all these technology combined together will generate a network, and what kind of network it will be, first you must understand this. As on date, you have got terrestrial network separate, you have got SATCOM network used by the defense services, and you don't have a smartphone which can use the satellite services. But in times to come, when you will see the LEO, the low Earth orbit satellite coming into play, the research is going on how to integrate the terrestrial network with the non-terrestrial network. And when we talk about 3D intercoms of the 6G, it means what? It means you will have the altitude as a dimension into the network. This means what? All undersea network, the space network, the air network, and the ground network will all become one in somewhere between 2030 or 2040, if I may be right. And all these technology will be driving it. Today, when we talk about 5G, we talk about Internet of Things. But when 6G will come, we will be talking about Internet of Everything. When I say so, why? Because everything which you see today, which is not yet connected on the Internet or your smartphones cannot access that, will all happen when 6G will be there. So what we are looking into it, we are looking into the Internet getting married to the mobility, it is married to the space network, it is married to the undersea network, it is married to even the network which will come into play inside your body. Because tomorrow your body will be totally full of sensors and there will be a micro network working inside your body. So all these things will enhance the attack surface, which is one of the subject. And attack surface will be so humongous and the data generated will be so humongous that only AI will be able to resolve the issues which will emanate because of that data which is being generated, processed, stored, managed, encrypted. So if you see the application which will come into play, the applications are like, if I may say, see as of now, extended reality we talk about will be coming into play. Then we talk about connected robots. We will talk about the autonomous cars which you are seeing in 5G, but there is a limitation because the entire environment still is unable to process the entire things which are happening around, so that when a driverless car is being driven, that every input is not coming. The reason is there's a lag. So latency issue will be addressed by the 6G because you will have somewhere 100 nanosecond latency in this, which is almost, if you see, 1/10 of what we are seeing in the 5G. So the point here is the speed. You will be having a TBPS kind of a network. So all these things will add to something which will be totally new application kind of a thing, right? So you will have vehicular management network coming into play. You've got UAVs, you've got swarms. All these will be interconnected in the air. And also, what we see is the blockchain related distributed ledger technology coming into play, basically to address multiple issues. And with this kind of communication, we spoke about the molecular, we talk about the quantum, we spoke about the terahertz technology coming into play, which will have a beautiful human machine interface coming into play. So all these kind of application I foresee in times to come, and all these applications will emanate new kind of challenges which needs to be addressed using the technology and whatever we have evolved till date, coming from 1G to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5. But always remember, the common factor is you, who is a user. So the privacy concern will remain the same. Only the complexity will increase, and how we address them will be a totally different one. Thank you.
Absolutely, sir. I think you very well covered the components of the 6G technology and the applications coming through the 6G. Now, Professor Goyal, if I can come to you. So, like Mr. Vatsa spoke about the privacy concerns with the 6G technology, could you please also elaborate more on the authentication, access control, data transmission, and encryption related part of how do you see that these key components or threat vectors would be impacted in the 6G technology?
थैंक यू वेरी मच. सबसे पहले तो मैं जो ऑडियंस है यहाँ इसको साधुवाद कहता हूँ, क्योंकि हमारी एसोसिएशन 74 कंट्रीज़ में ट्रैवल करती रहती है और मेरे बहुत सिंसियर थैंक्स हैं ध्रुव बहल और चंद्रिका बहल को. आज पहली बार संसार में कोई भी कॉन्फ्रेंस 6G साइबर सिक्योरिटी की बातें कर रही है. कोई बात नहीं करता. टेक्नोलॉजी में जैसा अभी बताया 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G, 6G, बाद में 7G, 8G आता रहेगा, बट साइबर सिक्योरिटी की बात कोई नहीं करता. So this is the first conference in the world on record, I am saying on record, who is discussing about cyber security for 6G. That is the first thing. सेकेंड चीज़ ये आती है, हमें दो बातें लगती हैं. या तो ये लगता है कि जो टेक्निकल एक्सपर्ट्स बैठे हैं कहीं वर्ल्ड में यहाँ वहाँ, उनकी भूख ख़त्म ही नहीं होती. अभी तक 5G पूरा वर्ल्ड में लगकर इस्तेमाल नहीं हुआ है और 6G की बातें शुरू कर दी हैं. 6G जैसा अभी बताया देवेश ने, 2030 में इसके स्पेसिफिकेशन बनेंगे, 40 में आएगा. पहले भी 5G को इस्तेमाल तुमने किया नहीं. या मैं इसको वर्ल्ड में ये कहता हूँ, बिकॉज द टेक्नोलॉजिकल एक्सपर्ट्स हैव फेल्ड टू डिलीवर व्हाट दे प्रॉमिस इन द टेक्नोलॉजी एग्जिस्टिंग, दे विल ऑलवेज टॉक ऑफ समथिंग न्यू. ये दूसरी बात कही. नाउ थर्ड थिंग कम्स, अभी तो 5G में ही इतना सिक्योरिटी रिस्क है, क्योंकि 5G में आपका फ्रिज, आपकी गाड़ी, आपका कॉफ़ी मशीन सब जुड़ गया है. और 6G में जैसा देवेश ने कहा, तो आपकी ह्यूमन बॉडी जुड़ जाएगी सारी. तो उसके रिस्क तो वो हैं जो आप इमेजिन हम और आप नहीं कर सकते. अभी ना तो हमें ये पता है कि टेक्नोलॉजी क्या है, ना ये पता उसका यूज़ क्या होगा, क्योंकि अभी हमको 5G के यूज़ का ही नहीं पता. तो उसके रिस्क तो बेनतासा बेपनाह होने वाले हैं. और मेरे ख्याल से जैसा इन्होंने कहा मनोज ने कि हम कॉमन हैं, सबसे ज़्यादा इफेक्ट हमें होने वाला है एज ए ह्यूमन बीइंग को. रिस्क एनॉर्मस होने वाले हैं, चाहे डाटा प्राइवेसी के हों, डाटा सिक्योरिटी के हों या साइबर के हों. और उसके बारे में कोई टेक्नोलॉजी के आदमी बात नहीं करना चाहते. आज भी क्या होता है कि अगर हम डिजिटल पेमेंट्स करते हैं, बहुत अच्छी बात है, करनी चाहिए. ओके, बिकॉज even today if we do the payments, say for digital payments we use it, but if there is a loss of the money, then there is no answer to anybody. So with this I will just say, let us hope and let us pray that the technological experts in the world, while they frame the specifications in 2030 by 3GPP, they will also work out for cyber and data security. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. I think you very well summarized that while 5G is not yet fully established, and it's good on our part that we've started evaluating, looking maybe 10 years from here to say with the new technology what could be the security concern.
Sir.
So thanks for your inputs.
Just take a moment, Ms. Nupama Dritska. Ladies and gentlemen, we've just been joined by Dr. Lopa Mudrabasu, Advisor, Cloud Security Alliance, Government Affairs Advisory Council. Very warm welcome to you, ma'am. And now I request the moderator to kindly take forward.
Sure. So, Mr. Johar, if I can come next to you, I think let's look at this at a very different and a unique aspect of this whole paradigm. To say, when we are talking about the 6G as a technology, now we are talking about physical security as well. We are talking about the whole surveillance mechanism, and it is expected that it is going to improve leaps and bounds with the involvement or with the improvement in the data speed as well as the way this technology would implement. So would you please enlighten or share your views or vision on how digital surveillance through physical devices will improve with this outcome of new 6G technology?
Sure, thank you. Hi. See, first thing is that I would say the security and surveillance industry is the most evolving industry in the world at this point of time. It is coming up in a big way, and everybody is basically taking it as necessity of their home, their industry, or their work function. Now, the security itself, there are three parts of the security. One is that physical security, which is camera. We are pioneer in that. CP Plus made the most advanced cameras here. Now, camera alone would not do the function. There are analytics which has to run behind those cameras to provide you the foolproof security which is required at the moment. The expectations of individual users have gone high, and they want a customized solution for their own infrastructure, whether it is home, office, industry, or whatever. Now with this, when we are coming on to connectivity of these parts, there are two ways. One is terrestrial, the second is that over the air, the internet. Now when we come on to the terrestrial, there is no problems. We can work out any kind of analytics. Now, when we talk about analytics, that advancement of analytics, video analytics have gone to that level that earlier it was just the recognition, the detection of the person from the camera that some mishappening is there. And then it evolved on to the detection of that, recognition of that person, that the person should be recognized. Now, it has gone up to the level that person should be recognized, and from the database, from that face recognition, it should be identified also that who is that person, whether it is in the database or not. Now it is coming on to the next stage, which is basically the behavioral detection. So before doing an act, we just want to detect that whether the person's intention is doing some mishap or it is going just directly. Now when we come on to these last two things, there you need high-end cameras, the premium cameras. The earlier first detection and recognition you can do with 2 megapixel or 4 megapixels. But once you go high onto the video analytics on a face recognition or the behavior analytics, then you need to have the cameras with 8 megapixels, the 12 megapixels, the 24 megapixels. Because you have to have clear stream to detect the behavior of the person, to detect his eyes, to detect his face, to recognize him from the database, to match him from the database. Now these things are not possible in the era of 2G, 3G or 4G. When we are moving on to the 5G and 6G, yes, we could get that stream that we can give our cameras. We are already making those cameras which are working on a terrestrial network. We will have the liberty after 5G and 6G that we can give even high-grade analytics to the customers, to the clients, to the people to recognize or to run onto high-end analytics on this. I think I'll cover that.
Right, Mr. Johar. Thanks for covering that part. Now, Dr. Lopa, if I can come over to you. So, with the deployment of more and more 5G networks, I think the limitations of these 5G networks have also been found, and which undoubtedly promotes the exploratory research for 6G networks as the next generation solutions. Now, these investigations include fundamental security and privacy problems that are related to 6G as a technology. So, could you please share with our audience your views on cybersecurity risks that are going to impact this 6G technology?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As very aptly mentioned by Professor Goel, that 6G is a future technology. Currently, we are working, the industry is working with 5G deployment, and there is certain technology associated with 5G, like edge computing, cloud computing, IoT, extensively associated with. And when it is coming to the 6G is expected to get deployed by 2030 or after that. So it is very critical that we should gear up to handle the security and the privacy aspect. Now, 6G would be the first offered to integrated air, ground, space, and sea communication. So it is actually a very complex network, and obviously with the complexity and the huge size and number of IoT and embedded device expected to be part of this and the software application, the attack surface is going to exponentially grow. And major security challenges would be visibility, ethical and legal issues, then adaptability. When it is coming to adaptability, technology adaptability is related to behavioral aspect of the human being and the societal aspect, because that is where we are today struggling with the 5G and the mobile technology. Now, when it is coming to the attack, obviously there are certain technology which would be an integrated part like AI, and all the other area like what we have part of our 5G technology would be part of that. Then blockchain will be there and IoT will be an integrated part of that. Today, IoT is having a huge limitation due to the space constraint related to security. So that is one of the biggest challenge. Now, obviously, other challenges would be API-based attack, eavesdropping attack, and AI model shifting. So there is a chance that the kind of benefit 6G is going to provide, it would be act as a two-edged sword, and we need to know that how to handle this two-edged sword to the betterment and improvement of mankind, and how to handle the negative aspect or manage it effectively.
Sure, Dr. Lupa. I think that was quite a good input. Mr. Singh, if we next turn to you, the end goal is to create a system that offers privacy for all the deployed software as well as protection of data from unauthorized access, right? So definitely there has to be a balance between the convenience and the risk part. So could you please share your views on the importance of risk management to place appropriate safeguards at the time of launch of this 6G technology?
थैंक यू मनोज सर. एक्चुअली अभी 5G हम लोग यूज़ कर रहे हैं और 6G की बातें कर रहे हैं, जैसा गोयल सर ने बोला. तो आज भी रिस्क है और कल भी रिस्क रहेगा, उसको हम लोग डिनाई नहीं कर सकते हैं. लेकिन हम लोग कुछ स्टेप हैं जो अपने प्राइवेसी और रिस्क को मिनिमाइज करने के लिए कर सकते हैं. फॉर एग्जांपल, अभी हम लोग कोई भी UPI पेमेंट करते हैं, मैं पेमेंट इंडस्ट्री से हूँ इसलिए पेमेंट की लैंग्वेज में ही बात करूँगा. ओके, तो अभी कोई भी UPI पेमेंट हम लोग करते हैं तो क्या होता है, फ़ोन में पेटीएम, फ़ोन पे जो भी यूज़ करते हैं, जो भी एप्लीकेशन, डजंट मैटर, उसमें एक आता है कि कोई भी ट्रांजेक्शन अगर बड़ा करते हैं तो एक OTP आता है. तो OTP फ़ोन क्या बोलता है कि आपने ओके किया तो ऑटोमेटिक OTP वहाँ पे चला जाता है. यू हैव given access to your phone to read your SMS or your messages. They can read and put this OTP on your particular जहाँ पे आपको OTP डालना होता है वहाँ पे वो शो हो जाते हैं, आपको सिर्फ क्लिक करना होता है. कभी कभी क्या होता है फ़ोन में अगर आपने सेटिंग कर रखी है कि ऑटोमेटिक OTP फिट हो गया और आपने ओके कर दिया, तो वो फैसिलिटी है. जितना फैसिलिटी आप अवेल करेंगे उतना ही रिस्क आपके लिए हाई होगा. तो फैसिलिटी को थोड़ा सा कम कीजिए और थोड़ा सा आप अपनी वर्कआउट कीजिए अगर रिस्क को मिनिमाइज करना है तो. अभी एग्जांपल 5G में जो डेटा का क्या बोलते हैं, डेंसिटी जिसको बोलते हैं, डेंसिटी अभी 1 मिलियन है पर स्क्वायर किलोमीटर में. लेकिन 6G जैसे ही आएगा वो 10 मिलियन हो जाएगा. तो हाउ कैन मैनेज? किसी के लिए मैनेज करना, कोई भी अगर रेगुलेटरी बॉडी भी आती है, कोई इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर भी डेवलप होता है, तो उस लेवल पे करने में इट विल टेक सम टाइम. तो जो भी रिस्क असेसमेंट है वो इंड यूज़र को, जो हम लोग यूज़ करते हैं, फ़ोन यूज़ करते हैं, टैबलेट यूज़ करते हैं, जो भी कनेक्टिविटी के लिए, कम्युनिकेशन के लिए जो भी डिवाइसेस यूज़ करते हैं, उसको हमें प्रॉपर तरीके से यूज़ करना पड़ेगा. अच्छे एंटीवायरस यूज़ करने पड़ेंगे जिससे कि हम लोग रिस्क मिनिमाइज करें. कोई भी चीज़ें, कोई भी एक्सेप्टेंस होती है, कोई भी एप्लीकेशन की एक्सेप्टेंस होती है, विदाउट टर्म कंडीशन आप ओके नहीं कीजिए. उसको रीड कीजिए कि उसमें क्या लिखा है, आपके डेटा आपसे कॉपी कर रहे हैं, नहीं कर रहे हैं, सारी चीज़ें मैटर करती है. तो रिस्क हम लोग ये डिफाइन नहीं कर सकते कि किस चीज़ में रिस्क है. रिस्क आपको खुद डिसाइड करना है. बहुत सारे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन हैं जो रिस्क मैनेजमेंट पे बैंक की अवेयरनेस फैलाती है. हमारी जितनी भी रेगुलेटरी बॉडी है, RBI टाइम टू टाइम सबको टीवी पे भी, इवन कोई भी UPI से रिलेटेड या कोई पेमेंट से रिलेटेड है, वो सारी चीज़ें मैसेजेस देते हैं, अवेयर करते हैं अपने इंड यूज़र को. बैंक भी करते हैं. तो सबसे यही रिक्वेस्ट है कि कोई भी रिस्क को मिनिमाइज करने के लिए कोई रेगुलेटरी बॉडी आपकी कोई हेल्प नहीं कर सकती है, ना ही बैंक कर सकता है, ना कोई इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर कर सकता है. जो भी इनिशिएटिव लेना होगा वो आपको खुद अपने लेवल पे लेना होगा कि आप क्या चाहते हैं. अगर आप फैसिलिटी चाहते हैं तो आप रिस्क को भूल जाइए. कुछ भी फ्रॉड होता है वो आपकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है. अगर आप चाहते हैं कि आप सेफ रहेंगे तो उसके लिए आपको रिस्क को कम करना पड़ेगा, उसके लिए थोड़ा सा आपको वर्क करना पड़ेगा अपने लेवल पे. Thank you, sir.
Sure, Mr. Singh. I think you made a very, very good point to say that, okay, if we are looking for convenience, then we have to be risk absorber, or if we are okay to take more risk, then convenience can be a gem for us. Mr. Professor Goel, if I come back to you as an industry stalwart, what do you think, in your view, what work should be done at policy advocacy side for security and privacy, and more importantly from a privacy perspective, as 6G makes an entry into Indian ecosystem?
Very good question, sir. As was said by my previous speaker, first of all, even for 5G we do not have a policy, but for 6G we are asking government to work out from today onwards what will be the safeguards required, what will be security parameters built in the technology, and we hope actually we are able to get success to the extent that ITU has decided to consider cybersecurity as one of the part of the 6G. So we hope for that, and also we hope that our cybersecurity policy, which is to come from 2010, will come soon. I just want to add something to my last speaker. Why are we so much trying to be at ease? Why we want everything on one device only? The more you want ease, the more you are putting yourself as risk. And you will be surprised to know, in 2 of the countries I'm not naming, the ministers today are not allowed to use a smartphone. They have to use a feature phone. Thank you. And I will take leave now. Thank you, sir.
That's absolutely okay, sir. Thank you so much. Thanks, sir. Thanks for sharing your inputs. Dr. Lupa, if I come back to you now, now see, in all of these new upcoming technology perspective, cloud plays an important critical role in the digital connecting world, right? So, could you please share your views on the kind of research work that is being done to make cloud a data safe destination?
Very important question today, because when we are actually, we are sitting here in the hall, we have a mobile, we have a smartwatch in hand. Some people may also have some embedded device like pacemaker or maybe blood sugar monitoring. So it's a chip to cloud connectivity, and cloud, between this chip to cloud there is a edge, or there could be a fog. So, considering all this, it is very important that we need to understand that cloud is a safe destination. Now, for that, there are certain industry specific researches, those are going on, like domain specific. Banking is a domain, automotive is a domain, then telecom is a domain, oil and gas is a domain. That is one side. Another side is technology specific. IoT is there, edge technology, edge computing, quantum computing. So, how to deal with this future technology. So, when we look at the cloud, one thing is very important. Cloud is a shared responsibility. When we talk about the cloud is a shared responsibility, a cloud provider may come and say that I'm a PCI compliant, or I am a SOX compliant, or ISO 27001 compliant from the shared perspective. But if you really want to get compliant, you need to know about that shared responsibility. As a cloud user, what is your responsibility? The application which you are hosting, or the services you are acquiring from the cloud provider, you are responsible for that. So, what is your responsibility? What is cloud provider responsibility? Some cases it would be a shared responsibility managed. Most importantly today, also end user need to know that what to share, what to not share. Today, when we are driving, we need to go to the driving school, learn the driving, and there is a certain age. But when it is coming to the mobile phone, parents are actually, handing over a mobile to 1.5-year kids who actually didn't understand anything about it's. This device is not an entertainment device. There is a good and bad part of that. So that needs to be communicated very clearly, that needs to be taken care before sharing any information to the net, which is actually going to the cloud. People need to understand what to share, not to share. Now, coming to standardization, for IoT, for everything, there is a best practice standard from NIST, and the Cloud Security Alliance, which is a independent body conducting lots of research on the cloud, and also providing the guideline and standard. There is something called Cloud Security Matrix, which is actually covering the end-to-end cloud-related requirement. Also, it is mapping with the different standard and practices across the world, different regulation across the world. So you can look at that and opt for those control. Another thing is, most cases, people are struggling from on-prem to the cloud, because people want to implement the control which is present in the on-prem, that want to directly replicate in the cloud. Cloud, you cannot directly replicate, but one need to look at the objective of the control and align the objective in the cloud and opt the similar kind of control which is capable to provide the same kind of outcome. And most importantly, when you are opting the control, commission that control with primary, secondary, maximum tertiary responsibility. If you are actually looking at a control and want to achieve 10 or 20 outcome, you yourself diluting the control, and ensure the effective monitoring. Retire the control when required and opt for a new control which is more effective.
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Lopa. I think you covered a completely very important thing on this 6G technology with the cloud, how it's going to impact, and you also spoke about the research work that is being done by CSA and the cloud security metrics. So, Mr. Vatsa, if I now come to you, I think we started this discussion with whole ecosystem around the 6G technology, and you very rightly covered the components which would be there and the technologies that would come with the 6G thing. Now, could you please also enlighten our audience with some insights on the roadmap that should be adopted from a security and privacy perspective for the 6G technology?
I think the roadmap is very simple. We have got multiple technology which will be driving the 6G per se, which I have discussed. So we need to understand, like she has beautifully brought out, what are the, in the cloud, when you are talking about, the cloud is now changing, if you ask me. She spoke about the cloud and the standards which are there. All these things, what we see today, are going to see a very big transformative changes. Whether when you talk about the blockchain, how the role will be played by the blockchain in the 6G. When we talk about the AI will be a distributed AI, because the decision making will change, because the data will be generated so high that the everything has to be done at the localized level itself. And today what we see as a camera is there, like the gentleman was talking about. If we are having a camera and it is just taking a picture, has got no meaning today. If we can compute and can give me actionable intelligence backend to me, so my data center is not loaded with that, and I get only that information which I can act upon. So these things will happen very fast rate. And not only this, when we are talking about 6G coming into play, how you define when you are having a software defined radios connecting the aircraft in the air, how you will define when an undersea communication will take place, because there will be plenty of things which will be dovetailed when we define a roadmap for security, when we define a roadmap for the privacy concerns. Because if we talk about the internet of everything, now there are very tiny devices. How do I put a kind of a chip or kind of a hardware which can do my encryption part there? It is a big challenge to us. How we are going to address that? Because data will be generated among us. And when the data is being generated among us, your AI has to give an answer. And if the AI has to give an answer, you cannot bring entire data to one central place and do some kind of AI work upon that. So that's the reason when we talk about the distributed AI means what? You will be taking decision at the localized level. It will be called distributed decision making in future. So all these things, when we talk about molecular communication, then you have to define how the nanotechnology will be used. You have to define how bioengineering will come into play, how synthetic biology will come into play. When you talk about the terahertz communication, you have got the challenges of terahertz technology. You've got a fine beam coming into play. When you talk about the VLC, visual light communication, you cannot use it in the open air because the sunlight is there. You have to use it inside a hall. So how all these things will take a shape in defining the 6G outcomes? I think this is a very collaborative approach from the various stakeholders. It will be a very collaborative approach. It will be a very cooperative approach among the all stakeholders coming together who are going to handle all these technologies, and then they define how do we define security and privacy concern in the 6G. It cannot be a single agency, single stakeholder application, because 6G will be basically using all technologies starting from blockchain, AI, as I mentioned, about these kind of communication setups which we are talking about, the quantum, terahertz communication, molecular communication, VLCs. So I think everybody has to play a role. So it's not that easy, but it's a little complicated, but it's a challenge. But I'm very sure, like we have done in the past, we will be doing in the future as well. Thank you.
Absolutely. And I think this is something where the roadmap would evolve as we'll progress into this work. I think in the interest of time, maybe this perhaps would be the last question before I come to the audience. So, and Dr. Lopa, and I'll just request you to maybe if you can cover this in maybe 30 seconds. In today's world, when we're talking about AI, we are talking about technology, I don't think we can finish our discussion without discussing about deepfakes. So from that perspective, I think we all know deepfakes are a growing cybersecurity concern. So, Dr. Lopa, in your view, what are the major security challenges while dealing with the deepfakes?
Well, dealing with the deepfake, there are challenges related to security. the major one is the awareness of the people, because there is a basic component to create a deepfake, because there are four type of deepfakes. One is video, one is audio, one is text, another is live. Now, when it is coming to that, a scammer need to identify the targeted victim or attack target to get some of his or her video, audio, or pattern of writing, anything. I would say that it's a evolved attack over the phishing attack or phishing attack, which we have experienced in past and today also. Most importantly, when it is coming, there are anti-deepfake detecting technologies available. So corporate is having that, government sector is having that in place. May not be all organization, but partly. Also, effectiveness is still, a challenge. But while you are looking at a video or a live, just look at the eye movement, jaw movement, lip syncing, skin tone. It's going to be a kind of, syncing issue. There is abnormal blinking, abnormal movement of eyes, because this technology evolving and still not that much fine tuned with the human body movement, human gesture. Tone of the voice could be same, but when as a human being we are delivering a particular sentence, there is emotion associated with. Is correct? So there is a way to detect it, but majorly I would say challenge is the awareness and the kind of professional we require to conduct more research on this area, to build a kind of standard regulation to bring this entire thing under a ethical practice. Now, ethical practice is a very big terminology, because ethics vary from man to man, person to person, woman to woman. So something ethical for A may not be ethical for B. So it's again a big question.
Sure, absolutely, absolutely. Now, in the interest of time, let me just let's turn to our audience. Okay, I thought it was 4 to 5, so, and we got a bit delayed in starting, so I want to finish this. So, let me just come to our audience, and we have our eminent panelists here. In case if any one of you want to ask any questions, please feel free.
So first of all, I think congratulations to this panel, Mr. Sharma from KPMG and rest of the eminent speakers for the kind of light you have thrown on a very, very forward-looking subject, which is 6G. Now, my question is to actually three of the panelists, Dr. Devesh to you, to Dr. Lopa to you, as well as Mr. Johar. Since three of you make a very good combination of policy advocacy and a product company, with the advent of more technology, I think we heard Dr. Goyal saying that 6G is we are a little ahead of times. It's in the fray. 2030 is where it is looking like. But with the advent of more and more technology, and given the fact that surveillance is becoming a lot more important from a security standpoint, the liveliness, the face liveliness, and a whole lot of things, where do we draw a fine balance of privacy? And my question is even more specific. If you were to advise Government of India on what kind of policy regulation we require such that there is no infringement to the right of privacy to the citizens, so what would be your response? And we can go in any order. Manoj, Mr. Moderator, do we have time for this question to be answered?
Yeah, I think we do have some time.
Sure.
So
Okay.
please.
So when it is coming to the privacy and privacy infringement, so security is an absolute requirement. You cannot compromise with security. If there is a border, you need to stop everything here. But privacy is little bit different. It is a willingness of an individual to disperse the information specifically related to that person. Now, I may have willingness to disclose some information which I may feel I can make it public. But you may not think that. So, apart from that, there are certain set of information under certain condition which need to be dispersed. There is no other option because we cannot go inside a room and sell it. We need to leave every day. So considering that, there are certain information which is very sensitive, like financial information, your genetical information, and confidential information. This information could be related to a biological person or could be related to artificial person. So identify those areas and put a strict regulation there, and more than the enforcing the law, it is the execution of the law is very important, because unless until there is a fine or there is a effective audit system in place, it's very difficult to implement a regulation. That's what I feel personally.
If I may add on, specifically from the surveillance side, sir, what you have asked for. See, I'll give a practical use case. We install about 140,000 odd cameras in Delhi schools. So there were a court case that it would basically infringe the privacy of the classrooms, that it would go on. And the Honorable Court has decided that there is no privacy in a classroom. It's an open standard. So it depends on what Dr. Lopa said, that it depends on that what kind of privileged privacy you are taking on. So it is the question of privileged privacy and the actual privacy. Now, when you come onto the surveillance side of this, there are policies which are being made. That is for that there should not be any unauthorized access of the cameras which are there being used. There should be identified camera locations when it is for a public appearance or a personal this thing. For personal, there are guidelines that how do you secure it. There are password protections. There are different kind of protections what we give additionally to the customers, that you can use that so that your privacy infringement is not there. Your privacy is secure. So these are the things which are coming on from the government side also as a policy, and from the public side or from the customer side also, to define that what is the privileged privacy and the secure.
Rahul, one line answer to what you said. My advice to the government will be, because whatever we have discussed, we are talking about the data which we generate is in the known domain. People know this data is being generated. But with the machines coming into play more, and you will have device-to-device communication in future, it is very important that the government should formulate a committee of technical experts of all these technologies and put them together, how you are going to address the issue of data which is being generated while the user is not aware. It is, for example, I have got a refrigerator in my house, and I say when my beer bottle goes down to this level, my information should travel and I get my stock, right? And what I watch on my smartphone today, if I may add to it, ISRO chairman has said in one of the meetings, you are under watch, whether you hide, whether you don't do it in the open, whatever you do it, you are under surveillance. And when it is so, when these kind of technology come into play, which we discussed, how this data which is being generated at each point, without the knowledge of a user, how you are going to handle it and how you address the issue of data privacy should be a big challenge, which I think all the technologists who are experts in the domain have to sit together and find out a way or a roadmap how to secure that data as well as and address the privacy concerns. Thank you.
Next is
So I think if I can just summarize, it's a combination. All parties will have to come together and then work together with the government to work on this. I think we have time for one more question. Any more questions from the audience? Okay. So if there are no more questions, then I think thank you everyone for being a very patient listeners, and I'm very confident that you would have got some more information from the inputs and the views shared by our panelists. Thank you so much for being here today.